Thank you for coming in, Doctor. He was brought here last week, and I just don't know what's wrong. I've never seen anything like this before.
Of course. I'm always happy to help you with strange cases like these. Can you tell me more about this patient?
Well, patient 101007 was admitted to the facility 6 days ago, and he hasn't stopped talking about a baby faces blaster. Nobody else here can decipher what it means. Perhaps it's a trigger word? That is your specialty, Doctor.
Perhaps, but I don't think that is what ails your patient. This reminds me of a case from many years ago, quite similar to the peculiar symptoms your patient has here. A word is not what triggered this man, but an item. This baby face blaster the patient is referring to seems to be something from his past, but what good memories he had with it are no longer possible to relive. He has tried to bring those memories back, but the harder he tries, the further he is pulled into his own delusions.
So what does that mean, Doctor?
It means he believes he is in 2014, before gunmetal, before Valve nerfed the baby faces blaster.
2014? What's so special about that year in particular, Doctor? I mean, it's not like anything serious happened that year.
That year was the last year the baby faces blaster was good. The patient here has trapped himself in his memories of 20 kill streaks on 2x crit servers. Unfortunately, there's no way out. I'm sorry, but he's too far gone to save. He will be forever trapped inside his delusions that it can still be used. There's nothing you nor I can do, I'm afraid.
But Doctor,
There are no buts, Doctor. Good day to you. If you're a veteran TF2 player, I'm sure many of you will remember how good the Babyface's blaster used to be. Pre-gunmetal, it used to be the scout primary to use other than stock. Unfortunately, nowadays, it is mostly just seen as a joke. So what happened to the Babyface's blaster, and why was it dethroned from its place of honor among scout primaries? Welcome to TF2 Weapon Tragedies, where we investigate the rise and fall of some of Team Fortress 2's worst weapons. In today's episode, we will climb aboard the roller coaster ride that is the tragic history of one of Scout's most useless primaries. This is the tragedy of the Babyface's blaster. Upon an initial glance, the Babyface's blaster looks like a balanced weapon. However, it's that last line of text that completely kills its viability. But before we talk more about that, we need to travel back in time to when TF2 was still getting regular updates. The blaster was added in the Pyromania update on June 27th, 2012, after Valve accepted it from the Steam Workshop. The original version of the weapon was as follows. It was 40% more accurate and also built up boost by dealing damage. Once you deal 100 damage, which is quite easy as Scout, you get a full boost meter. This boost increased the Scout's base movement speed from 133% to a ridiculous 173%. To put into perspective how fast that is, at one point Scout could literally outrun his own hitbox.
Hi, Ma!
Yeah, on release, the blaster was pretty broken. Now let's talk about the downsides. There was a 30% damage penalty when compared to stock, and without any boost, Scout moves 35% slower. Despite these seemingly harsh downsides, it immediately became a mainstay in any Scout's loadout, and it's pretty obvious to see why. If you were a good Scout that could consistently hit their shots, which was made even easier with the increased accuracy, as well as being able to move even faster, it rewarded the more aggressive playstyle for Scout, and for a time, it seemed like nothing could stop the reign of the blaster. Keen-eyed viewers may have noticed I haven't mentioned the final downside of this initial version of the blaster. And that's because I think it's such a brilliant design, and it deserves its own segment. You lose your boost on jump. That's right, on jump. Not double jump like the current version, but straight up jump in. And while I agree that changing the boost loss to double jump was the right call in terms of balance, it was still ahead of its time in terms of this idea of sacrificing different types of mobility in exchange for another. While this downside removes the vertical mobility of Scout, it increases his horizontal mobility, which is an interesting trade-off. It's like a anti-force of nature. Both offer a different type of mobility, which is a pretty neat contrast. This comparison could probably warrant its own video that dives deeper into the similarities and contrasts between the two. Unfortunately, this era of the gun would be where it would peak, and it's all downhill from here. Just over a year later, the Two Cities update would be released. The Two Cities update most notably brought Australiums and Killstreak kits to the game, but there were also some new changes to the blaster. As mentioned earlier, the jump penalty was changed to double jumping, but there were also some other changes as well. The damage penalty was removed, and the speed reduction was changed from 35% to 10%. However, the accuracy buff was completely removed, and its clip size was reduced by 34%. While these changes seem positive, it brought some unwelcome drawbacks. When you have full boost, you are going fast, outrun your hitbox fast. And the increased accuracy made it easier to hit your shots, and the two upsides complemented each other well in my opinion. Even though you do the same damage as stock with this change, it doesn't matter if you can't hit your shots. And I know you keyboard warriors out there will go into the comment section and say it's a skill issue, and I'll admit that, yes, I'm not a Scout main. But at the end of the day, the gun's main upside becomes a crutch because it just can't keep up with stock anymore. It is legitimately harder to hit your shots when you're going nearly half as fast as you normally would be. Unless you use the Babyface's blaster 24/7 and have some insane muscle memory, the average player will struggle to use it. While weaker than it was in its heyday, the Babyface's blaster was still a good option for most Scouts after the update, and it remained unchanged for nearly 3 years until one fateful day. A day that completely ruined any relevance the Babyface's blaster had left. July 2nd, 2015 was the day the Babyface's blaster died. There are many defining moments in history that changed the course of it forever. The invention of the wheel, Christopher Columbus's journey west, the internet, and most recently, the nerfing of the Babyface's blaster. Gunmetal, which is arguably one of Team Fortress 2's most controversial updates, would be the metaphorical straw that broke the blaster's back. Imagine you're a Scout main in 2015 and you've just got the news that a new major update has dropped. You scroll through the patch notes and so far, it looks like it has all the makings of a good update. Contracts, new maps, and most importantly, balance changes. Side note, this was also the update that introduced war paints and is the update that many people consider to be the one that killed TF2's art style, as well as introducing even more predatory microtransactions, which is why Gunmetal is so controversial. You reach the section about Scout in the patch notes, and there it is, right at the top. One bullet point that would forever end the reign of the blaster. Added boost reduction on taking damage. Who knew one bullet point could cause so much damage, so much pain for Scout mains everywhere? So let's take a look at what's changed in this update in regards to the blaster. You now lose all of your boost upon taking damage. On paper, this seems like a decent change, until you look further into it of course. Oh god, you lose it all after taking 25 damage! Who signed off on this? What have they done to my baby? What the actual f***? 25 damage. You can now potentially lose all of your hard-earned boost from splash damage, or some spy from 9 miles away lightly tapping you with his revolver. Don't believe me? Just look at this clip. I've got full boost and ready to join the fight and oh, I've lost it all. Just like that. Oh, in this clip, full boost again, but bam! I don't even know what hit me, but guess what? No boost for you! But to put into perspective how bad of a change this is, let's look at what makes a scattergun a good weapon. It rewards good accuracy and fighting in close quarters with lethal damage that can kill most classes in 2 or 3 body shots. The current version of the blaster does not follow this rule because it actively punishes you for fighting at close range. The one thing that made this weapon useful is now useless. The attribute that rewards playing aggressive, the whole reason for the blaster existing, is so pointless, so unusable, because you never get to use it for more than 10 seconds at a time. The amount of stress and mental strain I put on myself just to get footage for this video was just ridiculous. It was nearly impossible to find usable gameplay of me playing with full boost because I only gain it for 5 seconds before some fresh install accidentally hits me with a stray shotgun pellet. It got so bad that I had to ask my friend GigaChad to collect some footage for me just so we had enough clips to pull together and get something resembling a video. And don't get me started on Afterburn. One stray flame particle and 100 damage worth of boost is gone because of janky source engine flame particle physics. Here's a quick tip. If you're using the Babyface's blaster, don't engage pyros. Like at all. Your full boost meter will be nothing but a distant memory if a pyro gets near you. Oh yeah, they also made you lose more boost when double jumping, but I've lost so much of my sanity using this weapon that I don't even care anymore. The nerfs to the blaster and gunmetal should be analyzed more thoroughly because aside from the Bison's nerf, this might just be the worst balance change in TF2 history. Am I ranting a little bit? Yes. But what Valve did to this weapon is so inexplicably terrible that I'm just lost for words. There's not much to say other than that Babyface's blaster is now a useless, unfun, and outright horrible weapon to use. So that should wrap it up. The Babyface's blaster used to be good, but now it's bad. And there's absolutely nothing to redeem it because... Hey, I told you I'm recording. What the hell, man?
What about Bleed Scout?
How many times do I have to tell you? It's just a shitty weapon.
What?
I know Bleed Scout exists.
Huh. Well, I don't know what I expected. Anyway, no time like the present. Let's see what he said about my dear, beloved Babyface blaster. Easy boost loss, double jump, clip size. What? Alright. Clearly, I gotta set the record straight. The Babyface does have some teeny itty bitty downsides. However, all of which can be redeemed, thanks to the almighty Bleed Scout. Let's tackle these points one-on-one. As the almighty Bleed Scout once said, hemophilia is my middle name. And also my favorite weapon is the Flying Guillotine and Rap Assassin. The Guillotine and Rap Assassin combo goes so bonking hard that you will never have to worry about boost ever again. And it can go even harder if you use it properly. The Rap Assassin. Let's talk about this beauty for a second. It's often overshadowed by its big brother and big sister, the Atomizer and the Boston Basher. I'm sure you can distinguish who is who in that scenario. And if you don't, then that's a job for your teachers or parents. Unlike both of them, it has two useful quirks. It propels a ball that shatters upon impact, and leaves the catcher with the bleed effect for 8 seconds. 32 damage over time is nothing to scoff at, especially as Bleed Scout. However, if you think that is it for the Rap Assassin, then you are dead wrong. If the ball stays in the air for longer than a second, it becomes a crit, and does a whopping 59 damage, more than the Flying Guillotine. This is incredibly useful, and will come in handy more often than you think, especially when it comes to immediate and long-term boost conservation. The Flying Guillotine, there isn't really anything to say about it. It does a consistent 54 damage, and upon hit deals bleed over time. What gets good is the recharge time. If you hit an enemy gamer, it goes down to 1.5 seconds. That's amazing for us. This gives us the ability to keep a consistent bleed on a person for a prolonged period of time. That heavy right there? He's bleeding out because of how many guillotines are stuck in his colon. That enemy sniper that's been bullying your team? Sorry man, with consistent bleeds, you're not hitting any shots while we're around. While it is easy for us to become a faster Fat Scout, we can still be a GigaChad speed boosted bleeding god just as easily. By hitting one crit Rap Assassin Ball, we gain over 100% in our boost. Any speed loss before, instantly negated. And that's just one hit. If we stack our guillotine on somebody while already gaining the speed from the Rap Assassin, we become the Flash. Constant speed gain for around 3 seconds. Our 8 damage stacks heavily, a lot more than what you would think. With just that, we can regain our speed even while taking light damage. And God rest the enemy's soul, when stacking both the Rap Assassin and Guillotine on the same person. Hitting both at the same time deals over 110 burst damage. And when stacked with our 8 damage a second for 5 seconds, say goodbye to all light classes. And if there's a heavy around that corner, 2 meat shots is all we need. Or because of how fast the recharge is, we can become hemophilia and literally bleed them out around the corner. Our single target damage is limitless. And if you don't like what I'm saying, me run fast, you bleed, I go faster. Do you want to take what's special about Scout and reshape it into something not as good? Okay, I'll be honest. When you play Scout and you don't use your double jump,
you are dead! Not a big surprise!
And just like how our blinded friend said, you sacrifice your vertical movement for your horizontal movement, and in our case, a huge burst of speed. And this speed should not be underestimated. When playing as Scout, you generally want to get as close as possible without dying to a melee grip. And not only does our speed get us there quicker, but we don't lose our double jump this close. Upon dealing a full meat shot, we gain our entire speed boost back, in just one shot. So while your vertical map mobility is transferred to your horizontal speed, when fighting, however, you get to keep your fast dodging skills and be able to jump around the enemy. Okay, clip size. I feel like this can be best described in song. When the Scout's in the pub, I chop it like it's hot, chop it like it's hot, chop it like it's hot. When the minis try to get at you, cap it like it's hot, cap it like it's hot, cap it like it's hot. And if a soldier gets an attitude, drop him like it's hot, drop him like it's hot, drop him like it's hot. I got a guillotine bleed and a rap assassin and I run at fast speed cause I got it going.
Alright, enough! No more brainwashing my viewers. The blaster is not good. However, it's kind of, sort of, fun. There, I said it. And I'm fully prepared to be cancelled by r/TF2 for saying this, but I do have to admit, after using the blaster for nearly a month, it started to grow on me. Objectively bad weapon? Yes. But we all like bad things, and I have no problem admitting that the blaster is a fun weapon to use. The boost mechanic combined with the bleed weapons offer a different playstyle for Scout, who unfortunately is a class that suffers from being a little bit too homogeneous. The blaster is still a bad weapon, but at the same time, playing with it this much lately has been some of the most fun I've had playing TF2 in a while. And that's the beauty of TF2. You don't need to constantly play the meta or use the best weapons to have a good time. The amount of experimentation you can do in this game is something few games have ever been able to replicate. To cap this video off, I've come up with a few ideas on how Valve could one day fix the blaster. I think the original version was too powerful, but the current version is also too weak. It was an interesting challenge to find a balance between the two, but I think I've found something that could work. First off, we need to bring back the accuracy bonus. It's much too hard to hit your shots with the blaster, and that 40% could go a long way. The other change I would make is an inverse of how you gain boost. With my version of the blaster, the lose boost on hit downside is gone. It completely ruins the gun. However, the solution I thought up still balances the weapon. Just like how you deal 100 damage to gain boost, if you take 100 damage, you lose it. So if you get hit for 47 damage, you lose 47% of your boost. It will force you to think about certain encounters, especially with pyros, but it won't be as crippling as before. In the end, the Babyface's blaster will never be able to return to its former glory without balance changes. Even with the Bleed Scout playstyle, the current version just makes it unusable in most situations. It's a shame to see a once legendary weapon fall from grace, but traces of its past are still there. If you're ever getting bored of TF2, give Babyface's blaster a try. You may cry, you may rage, but the memories you will make will be unforgettable. Before I end off, I would like to give a huge thank you to GRAVECHILL for appearing in the video and helping collect gameplay. This video would not have been possible without him, so once again, thank you. Anyways, thanks for watching, and let me know in the comments what weapons you would like me to cover on the series next.